Sweat was starting to bead across their foreheads. 6 CIA operatives, 5 men, 1 woman, sat crammed into a black sedan under the blistering Middle Eastern sun, waiting for a green light on what was arguably one of the riskiest espionage operations of that year. Outside, the temperature had already climbed into the 90s, but inside the car, tensions made it feel even hotter. What was supposed to be a straightforward mission had just hit an unexpected obstacle, a seemingly harmless anomaly. A cleaning lady. Maintain position, do not approach target. The encrypted message crackled through the handheld radio, relayed by the local CIA station. The operative inside the embassy, who had been their eyes, ears, and open door, had just issued a crucial warning. For now, they were grounded. In the back seat, a man muttered a quiet curse under his breath. That man was Douglas Groat, a towering, broad-shouldered figure with the steely calm of a soldier and the hands of a safecracker. At 43 years old, Groat was a seasoned CIA asset, a master of covert entry, and the leader of this high-stakes operation. They'd spent months planning this: break into a South Asian embassy, locate and copy the nation's top secret codes, and vanish without a trace. This wasn't just another day at the office. This was espionage at its peak. An hour passed, each second stretched into a minute, but then finally, the radio buzzed again. Okay to proceed to target. The cleaning lady had left the building. The team moved immediately. The embassy contact, a staffer secretly on the CIA's payroll, opened the rear door, and Groat's team slipped inside. They moved like a unit trained not just in stealth, but in precision. The code room, a small, sealed-off space with no windows, was the target. Groat picked the lock quickly, his hands steady from years of training and practice. Within 15 minutes, the safe was open. This was the heart of the mission. 3 of the agents were specially trained in what the CIA refers to as flaps and seals, the delicate art of opening, photographing, and resealing documents without leaving the faintest trace. Inside the safe, they found codebooks and one-time pads, random number booklets that enabled nearly unbreakable encryption. Each item was meticulously handled, documented, and returned to its original position. In under 2 hours, the job was done. The team exited, leaving behind no trace of their presence. Back at their hotel, they were dropped off quietly while the driver delivered the photographs to the U.S. Embassy. Within hours, the classified intelligence was on its way to CIA headquarters via diplomatic pouch. The following morning, the team was gone, vanished as if they'd never been there. The CIA exists to steal secrets, former Director James Woolsey famously declared. While the agency refused to comment on this particular operation, more than 24 interviews with former officers and intelligence insiders have revealed the existence of a covert unit within the CIA tasked with just that, stealing the most protected codes and encryption secrets from foreign nations. Groat was part of that elite unit, known internally as the Shop, a small, ultra-secretive division officially titled the Special Operations Division. The Shop's very existence was obscured even from many inside Langley, not listed in internal directories, not openly discussed, yet vital to America's intelligence edge. This was not a new mission. Throughout history, intelligence agencies have targeted codes. During World War II, British spies used a captured Enigma machine to decipher Nazi transmissions. In Washington, a daring OSS operation involved a spy known as Cynthia, who faked a romantic tryst to gain access to the Vichy French embassy's code room. Decades later, the CIA would pull off one of the most significant intelligence feats of the Cold War, obtaining a copy of Khrushchev's secret speech condemning Stalin, a leak that sent shockwaves through the Soviet bloc. The Shop's specialty? Surreptitious entry, breaking in, getting the goods, getting out, without a single footprint. Their tools included lockpicks, safe drills, high-resolution miniature cameras, and nerves of steel. Groat wasn't just another spook in the field. Standing at 6'3", he was a former Green Beret trained in explosives, survival, scuba diving, and Mandarin Chinese. He'd served as a police officer and a U.S. Marshal before joining the CIA in 1980. By 1982, he was assigned to the Shop. He was also a certified locksmith, literally. A member of the Associated Locksmiths of America and a certified vault technician, Groat knew safes the way a surgeon knows anatomy. While Hollywood might show safecrackers listening for clicks, Groat described it differently. "You don't hear the tumblers, you feel them, in your fingertips," he once said. "You can feel the tension change as you manipulate each wheel. It's all muscle memory and patience." Groat participated in, or led, more than 60 missions across 4 continents. He was awarded multiple $5,000 bonuses for successful break-ins. No small sum for an operative earning less than $40,000 annually. He received honors from both the CIA and the NSA, and he loved the work, the danger, the adrenaline, the service. But espionage doesn't reward loyalty forever. The Middle East operation should have been routine. The team had been told the embassy would be nearly empty. But when that cleaning lady walked in, it exposed a vulnerability, a flaw in the agency's local intelligence. Groat flagged it. He expected accountability. What he got instead, according to his version of events, was resistance. That single mishap marked the beginning of Groat's fallout with the agency. While the mission itself was technically a success, the breach in planning was serious. Groat began to voice concerns. He wanted to make sure the shop operated safely and effectively. The CIA, however, didn't seem interested in his warnings. As Groat would later explain, the mission showed not only how high the risks were, but how easily those risks could be downplayed, even ignored by higher-ups. In espionage, even a janitor could become a liability. From a plain one-story building near a suburban Virginia shopping mall, the shop's agents ran operations that spanned the globe. The glass was pebbled, opaque, light came in, but nothing else did. The building was surrounded by chain-link fence, shielded from public awareness. Its operatives were the best in their craft. Lockpickers, photographers, electronics experts, seal breakers. Many lacked diplomatic cover. If caught, they wouldn't just be arrested. They could be disavowed, imprisoned, or worse. Their missions were conducted in absolute secrecy, and their reward was often silence. It was understood, Groat said years later. No one ever had to say it out loud. Groat's skills made him invaluable. His missions took him to Europe, South America, Asia, Africa. Once, according to sources, he even led a mission to steal a code machine from the East German embassy in Nepal. So urgent was the target, Groat was told to ignore the usual no trace rule. Get the safe, get out, leave the mess. His family, meanwhile, lived under a fabricated truth. His children thought he worked for the State Department, inspecting embassy security. His wife knew better, but stayed silent. One day, when his daughter accidentally typed a report on water-soluble paper, a supply meant for espionage, Groat stopped her and ate the paper on the spot. Then he sat the kids down and told them the truth. I don't work for the State Department. I work for the CIA. Groat's boss tried to reassure him. He'd handle the matter himself, speak directly to the official who oversaw the shop. Groat was warned, firmly, that bypassing the chain of command and approaching the supervisor on his own would end his career. He did it anyway. I told him our agent's life would have been forfeit if we'd been discovered, Groat recalls. He said he didn't care, called it a fluke, said it wouldn't happen again. But Groat wouldn't let it drop. He escalated the issue to the CIA's Inspector General. At the time, that was Frederick P. Hitz, now a law professor at the University of Virginia. Hitz remembers the case well. There was substance to his complaint, Hitz says. His concerns had factual merit. He believed the planning had been dangerously lax, enough to jeopardize his team. We agreed there was reason for his frustration. The conflict between Groat and his superiors had reached a breaking point. The Inspector General recommended moving Groat to another unit. But there was a problem. There was no other unit like the shop. Groat was assigned a desk at a CIA facility in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. No duties, no mission. He sat idle for 14 months. In late 1992, they moved him to a different office, but still gave him nothing to do. Most days he hit the gym in a nearby CIA building, then headed home before lunch. He was unraveling. I felt pressure building, like I was being squeezed out, he says, and if I walked, I'd lose my pension. He reached back out to the Inspector General, hoping for a lifeline. The response was blunt. Find another job. You're not getting your old one back. To Groat, it was betrayal. He'd risked his life for years, pulled off some of the most sensitive operations in U.S. intelligence, and now, speaking up had cost him everything. He wasn't done fighting. If the CIA wouldn't listen, he'd force them to. In September 1992, Groat mailed 3 anonymous letters to the ambassador of an Asian nation. The letters described an operation he'd helped carry out to plant surveillance devices in the computers of that country's Scandinavian embassy. He says it was a desperate move, one meant to jolt the agency into paying attention. One letter was intercepted and handed to the CIA. The others may have reached their target, because soon after, the bugs went dead. The CIA launched a counterintelligence probe. The FBI joined in. Agents dusted fingerprint traces from a library list of foreign embassies at Langley, hoping to match them to whoever had sought embassy addresses. Groat says they came to his home more than once. They showed him evidence. His fingerprints, along with those of 2 others, had been found on the embassy list. It was suggestive, but not proof. Groat was summoned to headquarters for questioning. They had nothing solid, he says. I was still talking to the general counsel's office, hoping for a resolution. I wanted them to suspect me, but not know. I wanted to keep them guessing. He refused to take a polygraph. The agency put him on administrative leave. By mid-1994, his marriage was falling apart. That October, Groat left home. He bought a Winnebago and hit the road with a girlfriend. Negotiations with the CIA continued. He brought in an attorney, Mark Bradley, himself a former CIA analyst. In a letter to the agency's general counsel, Bradley laid out Groat's case. 14 years of loyal service, a track record of dangerous and successful assignments. Groat, he said, was owed $500,000 in damages for the career that had been taken from him. The response came from James W. Zirkle, the CIA's Associate General Counsel. Before considering what he called a very substantial settlement, Groat would need to identify who had compromised the operation and back it up with solid evidence. Only then might the agency forgo a polygraph. Nothing came of the exchange. In fall 1996, Groat was divorced. A month later, he was fired from the CIA. No severance, no pension. He wasn't done yet. In early 1997, Groat called Zirkle with a new message. If the agency wouldn't settle, he'd find other work, offering his security expertise to foreign governments. That call landed like a grenade at Langley. Some officials favored paying him off. Others argued for a hard line. The call tipped the balance. Zirkle wrote back, urging patience. A settlement, he said, was in the works. In March, Groat received an offer, $50,000 annually as a contract employee through 2003, when he'd qualify for full retirement. Total, $300,000, still short of what Groat had demanded. But again, there were strings. He'd have to cooperate with the counterintelligence probe, take a polygraph, promise to steer clear of foreign governments. His lawyer urged him to take the deal. Groat said no. Instead, he visited 15 foreign consulates in San Francisco, dropping off a letter. It said he had worked for the CIA to compromise foreign cryptographic systems and offered his services as a security consultant. The letter didn't reveal how the CIA gathered intelligence, but it left a phone number and a P.O. box in Sacramento. Groat claims he never intended to work for a foreign government. It was a bluff, a negotiation tactic, he says. Yes, it was risky, but so was my whole career. This wasn't different. He wasn't secretive. He told the CIA what he was doing. He gave a copy of the letter to the FBI. Another investigation was opened. Molly Flynn, an FBI agent, contacted Groat. When he moved to Atlanta for a new job inspecting gas pipelines, they stayed in touch. In March, Flynn called. If Groat was passing through D.C., she said, she could arrange a meeting with CIA, FBI, and Justice Department reps to hash things out. He agreed. On April 2, 1998, Groat walked into an FBI office in downtown Washington. Flynn met him in the lobby. The others weren't there yet, she said. She brought him to a conference room. When the door closed, she told him there would be no deal. A Justice Department official appeared. "We're not negotiating," he said. "We indicted you." Then he walked out. Groat was arrested on the spot, held for hours, strip-searched, handcuffed. The FBI drove him to federal court and locked him in a holding cell. He says he was shackled, forced to wear a stun belt, his eyes covered with taped goggles. He was eventually flown, destination undisclosed, to a secure facility. He would spend 6 months there, in solitary, under constant surveillance. His public defender, Robert Tucker, was driven to meetings in a van with blacked-out windows. Even he never knew where Groat was being held. A sealed indictment charged Groat with espionage, specifically trying to transmit information about the compromise of foreign cryptographic systems. The charge carried a possible death sentence. A second charge, extortion, alleged Groat had threatened to expose U.S. intelligence methods unless he was paid $500,000. As trial neared, prosecutors made a deal. Dropped the espionage charges if Groat would plead to extortion. He accepted. "I had no choice," he says. "They were threatening me with life in prison." Groat agreed to cooperate with investigators. He admitted to sending the letters. On September 25, 1998, Groat stood before a federal judge in Washington and pled guilty. He was sentenced to 5 years. Where to house him was another question. One Bureau of Prisons official described Groat as possessing special abilities. In a letter, Groat joked, "The marshals treat me like I'm part MacGyver, part Houdini, part Rambo." But he was eventually sent to a minimum security facility in Cumberland, Maryland. "My skills weren't for breaking out," he says. "They were for getting in." His case manager, a woman named Aleda, put him in solitary on his first night, but they talked a lot. So much so that after 2 years, he was transferred to another prison. But the two stayed in touch. Groat was released in March 2002, a month early for good behavior. Aleda was there to meet him. That December, they married. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below.